Welcome back to the Retire Young radio show. I am your host, Joshua David, having a great time in the studio with my good friend, my great pal, and the mastermind, Mr. Al Connickson. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Retire Young podcast on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Al, before we go in the segment here, I bet you didn't think I was going to get your name right that time, did you?
Say it one more time. I'm not sure I trust you yet.
I'll try on the next segment.
Okay.
Al, as we get into this next topic, it's that retirement. It's that one thing that everybody strives for, but really wants to do it on their own terms. People don't want to have to wait for a certain time or have Father Time dictate that for them. So there's a lot of things that the smart money is doing in retirement that they're not doing for their clients, right? When I talk about that, that's the brokers, the advisors. Mm-hmm. They're doing something totally different with their wealth management rather than with their clients. So let's talk about that and let's bring some light to that. What are some of the things that the smart money is doing differently where really us as the average investor, we can also do those same things?
Yeah, and actually, I want to comment on one thing that I started to talk about in the last segment that I didn't finish, and this is kind of also gets into that question you just asked me. We talked about shorting. One of the things the institutions do is that they participate in all directions of the market, whether the market is up, down, or sideways. And if you're only participating with a portfolio that benefits if the market goes up or the individual assets go up, you're really only participating in one out of three directions, which decreases your probabilities of success. So shorting is one way of participating in the down market. I mentioned there were three. Inverse exchange-traded funds are another. An exchange-traded fund is similar to a mutual fund in that it is a basket of an asset, basket of stocks typically. And an inverse ETF goes the opposite direction of the underlying. For example, if it is an ETF that mimics the S&P 500, an inverse would go the opposite direction of the S&P 500. So back in the year 2008, beginning or end of 2007 through the beginning of 2009, when the S&P 500 was down 57%, that inverse ETF was up. The other option, I guess, that you can use is an option. There is an option that will benefit if the underlying goes down in value. It's basically the same as having an insurance policy. So one of the differences with the institutions and the public, the novice trader, is that they're participating in all directions. And then they're also using those leveraged assets that we talk about. Leverage is the biggest advantage there, maximizing the value of your money, but also the time that's available. With futures and Forex, you can trade 24 hours a day. You also can use those assets in down markets. You can go long or short. You're basically just buying or selling a contract. With options, you can participate in an up market, a down market, and a sideways market. Even if the asset is going up, down, sideways in value, keep moving up and down and sideways within one trade, you can still benefit. You can use options to actually participate in the movement of a stock without owning the stock. And then when you retire, your goals kind of change. When you retire, when you go into retirement, there's three things that are really important. One is learning how to generate income off of the assets that you have. One is actually growing the assets that you have. So instead of looking at that retirement portfolio that's all you have to rely on in retirement, why not continue to grow that? So maybe you can leave a legacy, maybe leave something for your kids or your grandkids, or just spend more if you want to spend it on yourself.
You know what's crazy, Al? I'm glad you brought that up because a lot of people think they just have to stop. They have to be quote unquote safe. Well, eventually that snow pile of money that's going to eventually disappear. So that's one of the most important things is understand strategies that are designed to do something like that.
Yeah, and the other thing that the institutions are doing that the public isn't, the institutions aren't paying fees like we are. If you have a 401k or 403b, an employer-sponsored retirement plan, you're paying some fairly significant fees that have a significant impact on the potential that you could have when you retire, which can have a significant impact on the quality of your retirement.
You're right. The fees are one of the huge things that really draw people down on their retirements. But the possibilities that are available in these financial markets, I mean, they're out there. But the key word you said earlier was the probabilities. You have to put the odds in your favor, not your broker's favor. Al, fees are one of those things that people don't really understand. You can't understand if you read them. Half of them are probably not even disclosed. You don't even see them. Now, there's one way to eliminate them. It's self-directing.
Right.
Talk about self-directing, why that's so important to eliminate those fees. But then you have your best interest.
Right. Well, and think about it. Who does have your best interest? If a financial advisor has 200, 300, 400 clients, there's no way they're going to wake up every morning with the first thought in their mind being, how am I going to help you? How am I going to help you,
true.
Josh? It's my goal every day is to help Josh and make sure that his portfolio outperforms.
Yeah,
it's just not possible. And I mentioned before, there were three things that are important when you go into retirement. One is generating additional cash, generating income. One is continuing to grow your assets. And then the third one is safety of your principal, making sure that what you have worked hard for stays with you. All three of those things can be done within a self-directed IRA. Number one, you're eliminating the fees. Number two, you have access to assets that you don't have access to in a 401k or 403b. You can trade options. You can trade futures. You can trade the foreign exchange market. You can have protection on your assets, and you eliminate those fees. And, you mentioned the fact that there are many fees. There are. I mean, within a 401k, you have not only the fee that the plan sponsor charges you, but then you've got fees within your mutual fund. And again, I mentioned before that the reason that mutual funds are the go-to in a retirement plan is because of the payout to the broker, the payout to the brokerage firm. Think about it. If you look if you put 10 different 401k plans side by side and you look at them, all 10 would probably have different mutual fund choices within them, different fund companies. How do you think that a company decides which mutual funds should be included in their 401k or 403b? Well, here's another fee. It's called revenue sharing. The mutual fund company will go to these plan sponsors and say, hey, look, if you use our mutual funds, we will give you, I'm going to use the word kickback. It is sort of a payout. It's called revenue sharing. That's a kind way of saying it, but you can even see that in the prospectus that's listed as revenue sharing. So there are those fees that you totally eliminate, and then you have the ability to participate whether the market or the assets are going up, down, or sideways. So you have 3 out of 3 opportunities. Again, that puts the probabilities and the odds better in your favor.
Think about that revenue sharing for a minute. Just let that sink in. They're going to your company sponsor, whether it's a 401k, whatever that may be, and they're basically sharing the profits. They're sharing the profits of those fees. So what type of fees do you think they're going to be putting you in? What type of funds and what type of fee does that have? Probably the highest fee possible. And that's the downfall, especially when you don't self-direct. And Al, I know a lot of people are really wondering, okay, what do I do? Well, now is the time to probably start to learn those different techniques and those different strategies. I mean, there's no better time than the present, but that way you don't have to just wait and hope to have enough during retirement. So there's strategies that are designed to help you. Al, in this next segment, I do want to continue this discussion about retirement accounts and retirement techniques and strategies, but a lot of people just don't have enough. I was actually talking to a friend this past weekend and said, I just don't have enough for retirement and I need to do something different. So coming up in the next segment, I really want to get into how to get started in these financial markets to really put your best interest in mind. We will be right back.